All right, it is officially showtime. What's going on, everyone? And welcome to a brand new episode of 27 Outs Live here on YouTube. As always, I'm Ivan, alongside Stefan. And listen, man, Monday nights at this time used to be a special thing once upon a time. If you know, you know. If you're following us on Instagram, you know exactly why I would say that. But Stefan, how are you feeling? Yet another week of baseball. Here we are to talk our you know what, like we always do, but
So I'm feeling good right now because the Yankees just put up 2 runs in the eighth. It's 4-3 O's and the Yankees are rallying in the eighth. So I'm feeling good right now.
good.
And my sleeper pick to win the NL Central is now 1-6 in a row. You see the exclusive Reds fitted out. They don't even sell these no more.
You know what's crazy? I didn't even notice the logo. But now that you pointed it out, I like it.
Shouts out to the Cincinnati Reds for making the brother look good. 6-game winning streak real quick out here. Now I mean. We feeling good, brother. I mean, like, what can I say, man? Another crazy week of baseball that we about to get into, and I just want to start here.
Oh, by the way, I want to say this now, not because I want to start the show like this, but I know in a previous show there was a time when I told you I had found something out like minutes before the show began. That kind of just did happen a few minutes ago. You heard what happened with Glass now, right?
On the IL.
Yeah, with the whole shoulder situation, I believe. So I just wanted to put that out there because maybe people could be tuning in and maybe they haven't heard that yet. I just found out maybe like 15 minutes ago.
Nah, he was placed on the IL earlier today. I know since about maybe I want to say noon. So
right,
they've been trying to work their way through that, but injuries are going to happen. It's part of the game. The thing with the Dodgers is, remember the depth we were talking about they had? That depth is in question now, bro, because
they're starting to deplete.
Now you sitting there looking at it. Now you're like, damn, no Glass now, no Snell, no Otani. You know what I mean? And I don't know if you know this, but they're throwing Yamamoto and Sasaki every 6 days.
Mm-hmm.
They're not pitching every 5 days. So when people say, yo, why is these injuries an issue? It's not that they don't have the depth to cover it. It's the fact that you're pitching every 6 days, which means more than likely there's going to be people put in positions like Ben Kasparaitis is going to have to, you know what I mean? He's going to have to pitch in certain spots where you thought you would have had, a bona fide starter for that particular day. Like the other day when we were talking, they just threw a bullpen game on one of our last shows we did. So the Dodgers are definitely in a spot where you're going to have to figure out how do we get through these early in the season. How do we get to these innings? And I wonder, I'm just wondering out loud, bro. Me and you just talking. If this injury forces the Otani timeline to come a little bit more forward. I'm not saying it does or doesn't, but I wonder.
That's the tricky part, because I kind of felt like, and I know things are getting tough, right? And I can only imagine, and I don't want this to happen, right? But I can only imagine what's to come, in terms of the injuries for the Dodgers. Because listen, even with what's happening with them right now, I didn't think that it would happen like this. If you would have told me maybe a couple of months into the season,
for sure,
but it's only been a month, But it would be bad if they have to do that. I mean, knowing Otani, he's a guy who's probably going to be up for it. But at the same time, like, do you also do that, risking the possibility of him maybe hurting himself later this season?
And so Tony Gonsolin's coming back at some point this week. So that's the big get for them. But you got to remember, Tony Gonsolin hasn't pitched on a big league mound since 2023. Since the second half of 2023. So what can you really expect from Tony Gonsolin right out of the chute? Because he hasn't put any type of innings that is necessary when you're talking about trying to cover up for some of the starters that are now on the IL. Now, Glass, this is a yearly respite for him. It's going to happen. There's moments where he's going to be on the IL for periods of time, whether it's beginning of the year, middle of the year, or end of the year. The thing that I wonder, and I'm just talking for the Dodgers. I'm not reporting anything. This is just me with my baseball brain talking to you. You know how we do. I wonder if they wish Bobby Miller's ceiling was a little bit higher so they could bring him up as a guy who says, listen, Dustin May could cover some innings. Bobby Miller could cover some of these innings. And it's more so you don't have to be perfect, but you can at least cover some of the innings that are left by a Snell, that are left by a Glass now, that are left by some of these guys that are on the mend. It's an interesting conundrum to be in if you're the Dodgers. And it also proves my theory right that money doesn't buy health. You can have all the money in the world. It doesn't guarantee that you're gonna be able to put a full roster together on the field, that you're gonna be able to remain healthy for the entirety of 162 games. Because the one thing I love to say, and I've said this often, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. You got to be in this for the long haul. So the Dodgers got some questions.
You know what's really crazy about all of this too, and it sucks, man. You know, because
sure.
I know early on I was, and I'm still, pretty big on the Dodgers, I would say.
For sure.
But in terms of like just the amount of games that I envisioned them possibly winning with everybody being healthy, I know it's still early, but listen, at the end of the day, you mentioned it on the last show. That's not really what they're interested in at the end of the day. They just want to get in and then find their way through, as they most likely will at the end of it all. But it's kind of crazy how coming into this season, we talked about the fact that the Dodgers, I would say, answered the question marks that a lot of people had regarding the rotation last season in the offseason. And then now with all of the injuries that are happening, we've reached the point where, listen, I don't want to speak, too far into the near future, but wouldn't it be crazy if they're actually like aggressive at the deadline for one of these pitchers, despite everyone they already have? That would be nuts.
Listen, I will say this. I know we're talking a lot in hypotheticals and what could happen, you know what I mean? Listen, they'll figure it out because they have the money and the resources to figure it out. If they do need to go get a pitcher, they can. If they do need to go get whatever they need to go get, they can. So I'm not really worried about them specifically figuring out, because they're one team that can do so. But it does make me wonder, right? What is the front office's mindset as we get into May, June, specifically the end of July, August? How do we navigate the next 3.5, 4 months to try and see if there's a pitcher out there we could go get, if there's a reliever out there we can go get? You know what I'm saying? I wonder how aggressive this front office is going to be, trying to seize the moment, because you're trying to win a World Series. To everybody in the comments, what's good, bro? We see y'all. To use my phrase, Razor says, you said it, Stephen, the Dodgers figure it out. They always do. They always figure it out. Thank you for putting that up. They always figure it out, and that's why I'm not particularly worried about them figuring it out, because if anybody has the wherewithal to do so, it's them. So
the rich get richer.
yeah, exactly.
That saying is true, even in sports.
for sure. Speaking of figuring things out.
Yeah, let's get to it, bro. Let's get to it.
Oh man. Devin Williams is on the mound for the Yankees as we speak. So this is apropos right now.
What inning is that game in?
They're in the bottom of the 8th.
Okay.
So Devin Williams was removed from the closer's role. Aaron Boone said at the stadium yesterday that they're going to scale back and they're going to give Devin Williams some time to figure out whatever it is he needs to figure out. If I had to take a guess, Ivan, I want your thoughts on this, and I'm going to be real short and sweet. This feels mechanical, but this also feels very mental, right? Because when you give up a home run like he gave up to Pete Alonso in the playoffs, that sticks with you the whole winter. I don't care if you change jerseys. I don't care if you incense your apartment. I don't care if you buy a whole new wardrobe. I don't care what you do to try and get away from it. That's going to stick to you, as he just threw a nasty changeup to Ryan Mountaineer.
Yeah, and it's and I hate to feed into like the comment or what we see on social media.
Right.
Everybody has got something to say, right? Not just as a Yankees fan, but everybody's has their eyes right now, especially I would say on a guy like Devin Williams, knowing that this is not why the Yankees traded for him, right? And the crazy thing is too, they actually did something that many would say they should have done last year, but instead they waited, a little longer, and it happened later rather than sooner.
Right.
But it looks like in 2025, they're not wasting any time. They're like, hold on, this is something that we could.
Oh, you talking about
probably
not sticking with Devin Williams like they did with
right. They
Okay.
have Devin Williams on a shorter leash, and that's not to say that he can't win the job back, but he certainly has to prove himself in the role that they are putting him in now, rather than worrying about closing games.
It's not whether he can win the job back. Can I be honest and frank? It's when he's going to get the job back, when he's going to pitch himself back into the job. Because I don't think he has to necessarily win anything. I think, number one, I wanted to point this out. In his career, for the months of March and April, his ERA is at 9. After the months of March and April, he's a pitcher that's in the ones for his entire career.
Yeah, right.
So he gets off the slow starts. He does this, but the problem is when you're in a city like New York, everything is going to get magnified to the 100,000. Yo, this guy's a bum. Yo, you traded blah blah blah. Yo.
You know what's funny? You say that. And shout out to my boy Andy. I don't know if he's watching tonight, but he's been making jokes over the past couple of weeks. I don't know if you heard it, but apparently Devin Williams, he's got like different names now. You got people calling him Devin Holmes. This ain't Clay Williams. Like they're saying all types of stuff online, bro. It's kind of crazy. But I say that because he's got whatever he's got going on, right? As you mentioned, whether it be mechanically,
and he just had a kid. I'm not trying to cop a plea, but listen, you're talking about transitioning to a new team, going into a new
environment as well. Because New York and Milwaukee are not alike at all. Yeah.
And here's the thing. Not to say you weren't pitching for a title in Milwaukee, but you're pitching for a World Series now, my guy. This is different. We brought you here to be the 9th inning guy when we would raise the trophy. It's different out here. You ain't pitching for friggin' 20,000 people in Milwaukee and Bratwurst, my guy. You're pitching in New York City, right? So, of course, everybody's going to have this, yo, Devin Williams is a bum. Yo, we didn't pay for this. And this is why, right? I'm going to say this for the record, right? We're going to have one of these shows tonight, so people strap in. This is why athletes don't want to come to New York. Because they see what they got to deal with, and it's like, yo, why do I want to go there and deal with that? Why do I want to deal with the media calling me trash, the fan base killing me? You don't know what this man got going on in his personal life? And you be the first one is, oh, he sucks, he's trash, he's this. These dudes ain't robots, bro. Not everybody's an Aaron Judge who can just compartmentalize and go about their day.
You know what's going to happen, though, right? He's going to get to a point where he's going to be able to put it all together. And the same people who are saying those things right now, they're going to love him.
Yeah,
they're going to regret every single word that they ever said.
By the way, Devin Williams, good job, bro. 1, 2, 3 inning right quick. Just now, 1, 2, 3 inning right quick.
You see? All right, so he's looking good so far in the new role.
So it's like, yo, people are so quick to kill dude. Yo, he's a bum. Yo, he's this. Yo, he's that. If he does it in the playoffs, I'd hear you out, right? Like, if he does this in October and it costs the Yankees a game or a series, I hear you out.
Yeah.
But this guy, yo, he's pitched in 11 games. Tonight was his 11th game pitching for the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to make a judgment off of 11 games?
Right.
Like, it's the same thing with Cody Bellinger. Oh, Cody Bellinger's a bust, and Cody Bellinger's this, and this. I'm like, yo, Cody Bellinger's paid a better center field than Aaron Judge even thought of playing last year. Cody Bellinger makes playing center field like you make walking. Since I can't walk, I can't fathom that idea. Right? But, like, goddamn, like, come on now. Like, these guys are professionals, and sometimes I wonder openly I tell people this all the time, put yourself in this person's shoes. You're going from Milwaukee to New York with the expectations of 1,000 gorillas on your back. And you just had a kid. And you know he wants to pitch well because it's a contract year.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, y'all.
And like you said as well, at the beginning of your point, they just went to the World Series.
What you talking? Yo, it's different, bro. It is totally different when you start talking about, yo, can he handle it? I don't know if he can handle it, but can we at least see if he got it?
Yeah, I still think.
That's
Listen, I'm not
crazy,
all that
bro.
mad at the decision because as Stefan and I both mentioned tonight, he's gonna get his job back, right? It's just a matter of when he's finally able to be the Devin Williams who we all know, and the Devin Williams that we still believe that he could be, right? Here early in 2025.
To be honest,
But I'm more so like with you because I'm gonna be honest, man. The transition, as you mentioned, the type of teams,
it's different,
the type
bro.
of way life is, the way life is lived here,
The
in
media
New York.
coverage is
Yeah,
insane.
everything overall,
Nuts, bro. So like I tell this to people too. Like, yo, people don't want to hear it. I'm not trying to cop a plea for the Mets who scored 19 runs today. So goddamn.
Mm-hmm.
But like Juan Soto's also adjusting to being a New York Met. He signed for $1 bajillion. He's readjusting to life as a New York Met, as somebody who's making the kind of money he's making. Also, you don't think he feels the pressure to have to be the man as soon as he comes through those doors, whether it's that way or not. That's the perception of what he deals with.
Right. And he didn't have to deal with that when he was with the Yankees because walking in, he already knew this is Aaron
What he
Judge.
had, right. And even you got to remember, Devin Williams was behind Josh Hader all those years in Milwaukee. That's a different case too.
That's right. Yeah.
Like he just became a full-time closer, I think in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't closing for his entire career. I had Josh Hader throwing C notes behind me, making the world look easy. Come on, y'all. Like this game is so hard, man. And sometimes I sit there and I often wonder out loud, like the teams that are good every year in, year out, like the Dodgers, the Mets are starting to get to that point. The Yankees been here for a bunch of years. Like I wonder how you keep it all together, right? Like how you stay consistent all these years and you just find a way to keep winning baseball games because it's not easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
Especially at the big league level when everybody can play at this level. Like when people say, oh, this team should get swept because their record is what their record is. I'm like, yo, there's big leaguers on the other team too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
They're
like,
all professionals, exactly.
Right. So when people say, oh, you should sweep this series because it's an easy series. I'm like, yo, wait, what?
And the beauty about baseball too is maybe I'm biased, right? Because baseball is my favorite sport, but the beauty of baseball is also the fact that, listen, you could be as great as your record says, man, and you could go into a 7-game series and lose to a team barely over 500. You can't really see that in any other sport. I think it's a lot more rare.
The beauty of baseball is how many times we've seen teams win 100 games and they see a team that just stomps them out. And I mean, like it changes. Put that comment up.
That's this is interesting, Rick. You don't think the Yankees closing situation matters because they're not going far in the playoffs. Neither are the Dodgers. Wow.
That right there, you I don't know about all that, but what I can tell you is I appreciate the audacity of you saying it. To me,
I'm not gonna lie. That in a way kind of deserves a bomb because it literally came like.
We come. I got the phone text queued up right here. I mean, like damn.
So listen, Rick. I'm not mad at you, by the way, for sharing that thought. But I would have thought maybe one, right? But both is interesting.
But I think Rick just says shit to be a contrarian, which is fine because there's razor being razor. Because I'm gonna be totally honest. I think the Yankees are overrated because the American League is trash. If you put better teams in the American League, the Yankees are probably the 4th best team in the American League. Like if Houston was better, if some of these teams that are like fringe playoff teams, if the Royals aren't so disappointing, if the teams that are better in the American League, I would say that that point is more valid. But the fact that the American League is somewhat weak, but you never know, man, because usually what happens is there's a team in the second half that we didn't see going on a run that goes on a run and the whole equation changes and they end up making a run through the whole thing. Right? I think the Dodgers, to me, are the shoe-in still because once you get everybody back, I don't think there's a team that can replicate what they can replicate on a nightly basis, especially when you're telling me it's all it is trying to get to the series.
Mm-hmm.
Well, who the Dodgers are? The Dodgers are the Golden State Warriors.
Really? You think
Yes.
this is what we're about to see moving forward for the next few years?
They don't give a shit about no regular seasons, my nigga. As long as I got Ohtani, I got everybody healthy for the stretch run to win the whole thing. I don't care about no regular season.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all could be the third wild card in that bitch. I don't care. The Reds ain't that good. I'm not even gonna let you just disrespect the Dodgers.
I feel like for the most part we basically covered our thoughts regarding Devin Williams and what the Yankees did there.
He'll be fine. But so, I'm gonna make this point. I wonder, right, if even if he turns it around, if he just feels like he's just not built for New York, I wonder if the Yankees turn around and trade him at some point.
Wow, this season?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just to eliminate some of the stress, eliminate some of the pressures, eliminate some of the what ifs. I would Shrek, that comment is nuts right there, my guy.
That's why I wanted to get to the comments, bro, but you had that last thought.
That comment is crazy.
All right, speaking of comments.
We just lost to the Orioles. Yo, my guy, you guys have been on a 9-game losing streak. You guys are hot garbage. You were the last one to talk about anything right now. I don't mean to kill your Royals, but calm down.
Yo, Shrek, where were you last show, bro? We missed you. I think I had mentioned you at some point during the show because we were talking about this Royals prospect, and I was saying that it would have been nice to have to get your perspective on him.
That guy
but while you write that, if you heard that already, make sure you guys follow us on Instagram at follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, at 27outs3C.
Well,
and for those of you watching right now via YouTube, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. It goes a long way. And if you're new, right? I don't know whether you guys are new or not, perhaps. Make sure you hit that subscribe button as well.
For sure. What I will say is, like, just to finish the point, is I hope the Yankees do lose. I hope they do lose early because it proves my point of I want everybody fired. So the earlier they get eliminated, the earlier my thought might come. We're like,
this guy. Nobody wants to go that deep, bro.
I do. That's why in my sick, twisted mind, I'm kind of tight the Knicks are making the next round because I'm like, damn, I wanted Tibbs fired.
Mm-hmm.
They're not firing him now because you about to make the same.
But I think even as a Knicks fan, that is over, round 2. Right?
I don't know. Jason Tatum's wrist is shot. Jaylen Brown's knee is shot. And I'm talking about his wrist on his shooting hand. He's playing with a real deep bone bruise in his wrist.
Mm-hmm.
And listen,
he is a Kobe fan, so he better suit up and do what Kobe would have done.
He's gonna suit up, but we smacking the shit out that wrist every chance we get.
All right.
Hell yeah. Disrespect not the Reds and the Dodgers. Nah, I don't see that, man. I don't see it unless the Reds the Reds have to make at least a few more moves to make that happen. I like the Reds. I like them a lot. I don't see the Reds being that's crazy. That I can't let you rock with.
Yo, what's funny? If you look at, which I'm sure you guys have at this point, in the title of tonight's live, we actually have 3 early contenders and pretenders, and you make that joke, Shrek, but not a joke, because you're right, actually. You're right. But I have them as a pretender. Like, yeah, they're hanging around like some of the better teams in the American League right now as we speak. But I don't say this as a knock. Like, this is not a bad thing about,
right?
What they have going on. In fact, this is good, and this is probably what we're going to start seeing when it comes to the A's moving forward, right? But I mean, we all know like they're not going to be able to hang with some of these
Right.
teams in the American League. But they have some guys on that team who I enjoy, right? Like
Well,
we all know Mason Miller. I'm a
yeah.
big fan of Jacob Wilson. You know me, my guys who hit for contact, bro.
Nah, Jacob Wilson is a stud.
Yeah.
Brent Rooker's gonna hit like 40 home runs in a yard.
Brent Rooker, he's what's crazy? He's a very underrated power hitter. Like everybody talks about, some of the obvious guys, Pete Alonso, Aaron Judge,
Rooker's
Ohtani,
that guy, bro.
But Brendan Rooker's like just below those guys in terms of home runs, man.
Well, I don't see the A's as legit because I don't like the pitching. The pitching is what gives me cause to pause in Oakland. The offense is gonna score some runs, but I also think that pitching staff is the reason why I'm not going all in on the A's. But the A's definitely can have something to say in the AL West because the AL West is that's another bad division.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But
that's true. Wait, hold on. Rick, you say the A's are legit as in like you see them like keeping up for the rest of the year? I don't think so. I think they fizzle out at some point.
I just think unless they're able to,
I do like what I'm seeing for sure. I just don't think going into the season the A's were going to be a team
they have talent.
Above 500.
I like the A's. The A's got some talent, right? What I would say is this. I don't know about the sustainability factor of the A's. Like Houston's in that division still, Seattle's in that division still. Like I will say this, I think right now I take the A's over the Angels at this very moment.
I would, yeah,
I think that's a fair assessment or a fair thing to say. But I don't know over 162 games if I love the idea of the A's being a team that I'm like I have to watch, the A's every night. But
Yo, Shrek, you're funny. But he says I'm dressed. I saw your comment earlier. Where was the other one? He said I dressed. I'm rocking the grimace fit. Shrek always got something funny to say.
I will say this though. I will say this. I think overall, we're at a point now where we're at an inflection point. Like clearly, the National League is the better league. Right. But also the reason why I think over the long haul, one team I will tell you about in the National League that nobody seems to be talking about that I'm kind of like in love with.
Wait, hold on. Before you continue, is this because I basically started off with the Pretenders. So you want to go to contending?
So I got a contender for you.
All right, yeah. Now I just wanted them to know like where we're at right now.
No matter what happens, no matter where they are at the moment, the Arizona Diamondbacks are going to have something to say about how this all shakes out with the Dodgers, Padres, where Arizona's pitching staff, they will right themselves. And when they do, the question is, can they get a closer? If AJ Puck is continuing to be, injury prone and not being able to get on the mound consistently enough, I like that Diamondback squad, man. I know they lost 2 out of 3 to Atlanta. I get it. Rough weekend. Eugenio Suarez hit 4 balls to Mars in the same game.
Oh, bro, it's crazy.
Jesus.
I was speaking to that. I was reading something. I think it was yesterday. He's only the 19th player in history
to do that.
I don't know why, but for some reason, I'm a little surprised that not more have done it. But I say that, and now with the way, that's all people do nowadays, it just might happen.
Listen, 4 home runs in a game, I don't care if you playing Little League, Bear League softball, if you hitting off a tee, you have 4 home runs in a game, you're doing something right.
4 is crazy, bro. 4.
That is crazy, bro. I want to see what they do with this bullpen, how it gets reconfigured, right? Because I do think they need some bullpen assistance at some point, which is why I wonder if, a team that's not really in it can say, you know what, I'll trade some bullpen pieces. We can come off some of these pieces because their bullpen is a problem. The Giants are hanging tough, man. The Giants, what's crazy about the Giants? I read the stat and I didn't believe it. The Giants have 9 late inning wins. They have 9 wins in the 8th inning or later this year. That's the most in baseball.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So the Giants are showing you, yo, we believe in ourselves. We're gonna come back late in games. They
Mhm.
walked off. Did you see the walk off they had yesterday?
I did.
The little league walk up, like throwing it all over the field. I'm like, yo, my
Yeah.
boy, what the hell's going on here, yo?
Like that's something you would see at like the little league level, or in
Jeez.
high school.
Um, that's that.
No, but I agree with you. Listen, I might be getting ahead of myself by stating this, but I could
Right.
see the Giants as a sneaky contender this year. Because I don't really think too many people had them in the same conversation. I for sure did.
Outside of
Right. I
Razor
didn't
was
have
only
him
guy I
in the
told you.
same conversation, to be up there with the Dodgers, right?
No.
The Padres, and also who you just spoke about as well, the Diamondbacks.
Mhm.
But they're right in the midst of that conversation. So I got them as well for a sneaky contender, I would say, for sure.
I think that's a great point, and I think the other thing that I'm going to tell you too is listen, you never know. One injury, one bad losing streak, it can all change real quick. So this is why I'm very key on what happens after the trade deadline, because that's when you know what type of team you got.
Mhm.
Because after the trade deadline, we're gonna have conversations about, I would say when we get to June, probably mid-June, and July starts creeping up, we're gonna see what these teams are about. Buster Posey has done a great job of putting a team together.
Mhm.
So I'm very curious to see what this looks like as we get to like mid-June, early July.
Yeah. Shout out to Jung Ho Lee, man. Jung Ho Lee's having a hell of a season.
Yes, he
Like
is.
I feel like every other night I'm watching something of Jung Ho Lee.
It's either he's throwing somebody out, he's making
Yeah.
a great catch. He's doing something on the field that's just
It
ridiculous.
looks like he's having a lot of fun right now playing for the Giants for sure.
And you know what it is? That's just youth and enthusiasm, man. That's just youth and enthusiasm. Young, hungry for the game, hungry to get better. Like you love guys like that. I'm gonna tell you this too. On a sneaky tip, damn if they get a little bit more pitching. I love the Cubs, bro.
Mhm.
PCA, Nico Horner, this guy King Tuck looks great in a Cub uniform.
Yeah.
I love just the idea of the Cubs being good makes me feel good. Something about
Mhm.
Wrigley Field going crazy just makes me feel that lineup is no joke. You talking about Tucker, Horner, PCA. I don't know where PCA got this power from, but this guy is hitting balls into the wind. Like, all right, bro, that's leaving the yard. You
He's
get a
playing
home
as
run.
if he's gonna have himself a breakout season so far. I mean, if he keeps this up, and if the Cubs are gonna be serious about like being in this thing, yeah.
Yeah, man. The Cubs. See, the thing about the Cubs to me are like, uh, they're like that team. They're like, damn, yo, if they got. That's why the Justice Steele injury feels big to me.
Right. Mhm.
Like it feels like that Justice Steele injury took some wind out of their sails, but they're finding ways to win games. They don't quit. They clearly got some comeback to them. And you watch them and you're like, damn, this team is interesting. If you're able to just get somewhat healthy, by the time we get to the stretch run, they could be an interesting team.
Mhm.
It just baseball's weird, man, because we talked about the Padres being the best team in baseball last week on last show. And the Padres just lost 3 in a row to the Rays. So this weekend. So baseball has this weird thing where it's like, oh, you thought this team's good? All right, we're gonna humble them. You're about to get swept by the Rays.
Right, right.
By that Rays pitching is no joke. Throwing Shane Baz, Charles Bradley, Ryan Pepio. They hit a little
By
bit.
the way, their first baseman, I was looking at his numbers yesterday. I forgot the guy's name,
Jonathan
man.
Aranda. Is it Jonathan
Yes.
Aranda? Yeah.
Yeah, he's looking good, man, so
Yeah.
far.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. Sometimes I just look at what he does sometimes, and I kind of feel like I got to start seeing him more and
And
how he
I'm
actually plays.
sorry, though, that sneaky pop from the left side.
Hmm?
That is sneaky pop. You heard? Like I look at him hit, and it's the ball sounds different when it comes off his bat.
Yeah.
Like when he hits that shit, it's going places it's not supposed to go. Right? So I'm like, damn, if like there's somebody that I'd love to see get a bat. They're not gonna do it because of the financial constraints that they're under.
Mm-hmm.
But they brought up the kid Simpson, who's the fastest man alive. You seen this kid run the first base?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I'm like, yo.
I think I had seen a video. I
Yeah.
think he gets from home to first. Is it in 4 seconds? I know it's something like
Flat.
that. 4 seconds, right?
Flat.
Yeah.
I was like, hold up. If you in the inf, that's some Ichiro Suzuki shit.
That's
Like,
what I'm saying though. So like usually, right? Usually, and I'm not coming for him at all, but usually,
crazy,
like
bro.
us as baseball fans, we know this. Guys who like where they're just heavily
Yeah.
relying on their speed, they really don't do much else, right? But I feel like for this guy and how quick he could get from home to first,
Yo.
even on the ground ball, anywhere on the diamond. Well, maybe the first baseman, not so much. But if you hit it to second, third, or short, bro, you're safe every single time.
He almost beat the ball back to the pitcher was going to toss it, and this guy was on the back.
And the reason why I say that too is with a guy like that, even on a ground ball, you can't waste not even a second.
Nah, you gotta be accurate. And he might beat you to the bag. If you throw it into the outfield, he might score. He's so bad. He might either get to third or he might be a ballsy enough where he might score. Right? So I'm sitting there like, damn, yo. Like that type of speed, that's game-changing, game-wrecking, game-defining speed. And I'm just like, yo, if he hits 270, you got a hell of a player.
270, dude. With his speed, I'll take 250. I mean, listen.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if he hit 270, you got borderline, like, yo, that's crazy, bro.
And still, like, what, close to 100 bags?
Yo, he scored 104 in the minor leagues last year. Yo.
That's crazy.
What?
I love a player like that.
I disagree. The question for me is their lineup. Their pitching is good enough right now to compete with anybody in the American League. They can't hit. Their lineup is not good enough.
Yeah.
You can look at their pitching and go, Taj Bradley, ace. Ryan Pepio can pitch for multiple teams in this league. The bullpen, I like Pete Fairbanks coming out of the bullpen. The Rays always figure out a bullpen. They always figure out the bullpen. I'm not worried about the bullpen. I'm worried about them scoring enough runs to where you're in most games. Because you can't win games in the American League 2-1, 3-2. You playing against lineups like Boston's lineup, they will hit the ball out on you. The Yankees lineup, they will hit the ball out on you. Even Toronto's lineup, for as much as struggles as they've been through, they get hot, they will hit the ball out on you. Can you score enough runs to make it interesting enough where it's worth it? That's the point.
You know, it's crazy, man. I didn't even think I was actually gonna run into something like this. But yesterday I was actually reading something. This guy Wander Franco actually believes that he has a chance to still make it back into the league, bro. Is he crazy? I read something, and I don't know if he's got like a court case or something, or court date, coming up. But I read that, and I was like, yo, why is this guy like even making headlines still? Like, could we just dismiss him? It's crazy.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
For real, that's how I felt just for reading it. I was like, yo, why? Why is it a thing?
I'm gonna just play this too, because
another one bites the dust.
What? You're never playing in the big leagues again. You're never seeing the outside of a jail cell again. You might play jail cell softball, but you ain't playing in the big leagues again.
Listen, I'll say this. If Trevor Bauer didn't get a chance to return,
hell no.
Who in the hell do you think you are, Wander Franco? I mean, let's be honest. Stop, bro.
Yo, I saw the cryptic Instagram post he put out. I'm like, yo, my boy, who you talking to, bro? Who you think you fooling, bro? And you're not even anybody of the stature of a Trevor Bauer. Where Trevor Bauer still can pitch in the big league. He still has the stuff. It's just the court of public opinion said, hell no.
Right.
You crazy, bro. Yo, nah. Shrek off the top, bro. Yo, damn. Yo, damn, that's wild. Yo, Shrek for the win, bro. I like that, but
yo, Shrek, I don't know. I don't know what title we have to give you, bro, but it definitely has to be something related to like jokes for sure.
Yeah, you
bro.
gotta be.
Something.
He's good for. He's like punchline king. He's good
Like
for
yo,
punchline.
chat. Some of you guys, I don't know if all of you guys know who Shrek is, but Shrek has been,
He's good for one, bro.
a pretty loyal supporter. So shout out to Shrek.
Shout out to you,
But
man.
if you see some of his comments, what do you guys think we should call him? Because I don't know, man. Shrek itself is not doing it anymore. Not with these jokes, bro.
you gotta come up with something more clever than Shrek, brother. You out
Right.
here.
He's using 27 outs as a platform to show that he's really a comedian,
to get his shit off. I feel you, bro. My platform is your platform. I want to say this for the record too, though. Like, this is how much we love baseball, and I'm sitting there watching the game this weekend, and even the bad teams are running to win, or they'll give a win away, and I'm like, yo, I can't imagine being a Rocky fan. I can't imagine being like a Marlin fan. I can't imagine rooting for some of these teams.
You know what's crazy? I think the Rockies only have 4 wins, right?
Oh yeah, they're like 4-22 or something like that.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I just kind of like put myself into
rough.
like the shoes of a Colorado Rockies fan.
Rough.
Like,
yeah. So that's what I'm saying.
You even show up to games.
It's rough. Like, you know what's crazy? You know who's having attendance problems, and I'm kind of shocked by this, is the Cardinals. The Cardinals are having trouble drawing right now. And I'm like, you're still the St. Louis Cardinals at the end of the day. Are you as good as you were in previous years and hope to be? No, but like anytime I get a chance to play Nolan Arenado live, I'm going to watch that guy play live. By the way, he hit a ball to the second deck on Sunday. Nolan's looking like Nolan again. That bat speed is there. Mm-hmm. He's great at third still. Like, somebody's gonna trade for him, and Nolan Arenado is gonna have an impact for somebody.
And remember when a lot of people were saying that they weren't quite sure how the bat was gonna continue to age, and look at that to start this season off.
Nolan is looking like the Nolan Arenado. Nolan to KC would be interesting. Hold on a second. That's interesting.
That would be huge.
That. And I know you halfway joking, but I don't hate that. What are you doing? Wait, you said Alec Bohm? What are you doing with Alec Bohm in KC, bro?
Right.
Like, Alec, what you need? Like 4th third baseman? What are you doing, bro?
Yo, Shrek, by the way, that Royals lineup, dude. Can you guys get Bobby Witt Jr. some help? I mean, what's the whole point of this winning streak when you guys got like nobody else hitting alongside him?
I'm gonna tell you this right now. Can they call up this kid Jack Castiglione? What y'all waiting for, bro? Call the kid up, bro. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why is he not in the big leagues? It's part of being a young team, bro. These kids are young. They're kids, bro. These kids don't know how to win yet. You're gonna see things like that on the field when you don't know how to win yet.
Mm-hmm.
And they were getting blown out like 19-3 at the time. Like, these kids, they're kids, bro. Like this is what.
But I will say though, they got 2 big wins against the Mets. 2 wins that the Mets should not have ended up winning.
Mm-hmm.
I must say, listen, and I talked about it before. I think on the last show, we were talking about the Phillies and the fact that you got some of these other teams in that same division.
Yeah.
But then I was talking about teams like the Marlins and the Nationals, like they're gonna be out of it all season long. But they have certain players on those teams where they're going to be in on certain games.
Yeah, they're like James Woods might hit 3 home runs and win you a game.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan Cruz might make a dead diving catch that wins you a game. CJ Abrams might steal a base that wins you a game. So
he scored the winning run just the other day for them, actually. One of those walk-off wins for the Nats was a run by him.
So, I don't know. Steals third and a bit. Well, stealing third, I don't know if I necessarily agree with. That's kind of crazy. Like you stealing third is a thing that I wouldn't do, me personally. But
That's how I know that. That's my boy Carlos.
hey man,
Shout out to
what's
him.
up, bro? Yeah, you're gonna get some undisciplined play from a young team. Also, I agree with you. I would bench a lot of these guys, but if we learn anything from the Atlanta Braves situation, benchings don't. It's kind of you're walking a fine line when you're talking about benching dudes.
In fact, I would go as far as to say that I feel like today's athletes probably would take that as a favor. You doing them a favor by not putting them in games and them still getting their check at the end of the day. You're doing them a favor.
Yeah.
Some of these guys don't want to play
Like
anyway.
I'm gonna sit there and publicly embarrass you. You're gonna have to stand on the field out there and wear that.
Right.
I'm not letting you go into the clubhouse and eat the spread, bro. Stand out on the field and learn. That's that embarrassment you have to learn from. You got to learn from that, because what it's going to show me is going to show you how good these guys are and these managers are at communicating with these players. That's what it boils down to. The communication in the modern game is bad. And that's why we see some of the shit we see.
Too much power has been given to the player, not to say that a player shouldn't have at least some type of control, but I think players have way too much control. And if you were to ask me, I don't think that should be given out, as easily as it is nowadays. I think there's only a handful of guys in the league who should genuinely be able to walk around and say that, they have that privilege.
Right.
But I think when you consider the world that we live in nowadays, and you got to think twice before you speak, you can't be genuine because it comes off as offensive. All of that comes
you're being a dick because you said how you felt and the fans didn't like that. Or
we know you would definitely be getting in trouble for sure.
Sometimes the truth hurts, bro. I don't give a fuck. I'd rather tell you how I feel, and you kill me for it in the end than me lie to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But how do we feel about Eddie Rosario being signed and Jared Kelenic being sent down? I don't have much feeling on it because Jared Kelenic is not a big league player to me at this point.
Right.
He's not a big league player. That's why Alex Verdugo's there. You know what I'm saying? That's why you signed Profar. And
Verdugo himself is barely a big league player too.
At this point, shit.
Yeah.
That's because they got nothing else. So we got to give them good jerseys because nobody's going to watch that bullshit product on the field. And why don't we just call these City Connects for the White Sox the Chicago Bulls City Connect? You see these City Connect jerseys?
Yeah, the whole red and black. Yeah,
they look like the Bulls.
Mm-hmm.
I was about to where MJ at?
Yo, you know what would be crazy if they would have come out and say like, "Oh, that was not like a throw at all." Like, you damn liar! Like, come on,
you a sack of shite. You lie like a rug, my boy. That's crazy. I want to get into it. So let's pick these three teams. My three contenders right now. I said one of them earlier.
Said Giants. So we agreed on the Giants.
Giants, I got.
We mentioned Cubs as well.
Cubs, I got.
I mentioned one pretender being the Athletics. So we missing three more. One more contender and two more pretenders.
So my last contender is. You know what? I'm gonna say it. I like the Reds. I like the Terry Francona. Like, I don't know if they're contenders to win the World Series, but they're contender to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and possibly win that division, even though it'll be neck and neck between them and the Cubs.
Yeah, possibly. I think.
But I do think this is the year because for a while now, it's been Cubs, Brewers, even what's this team? What's this other team? How did I forget? Cubs, Brewers, Cardinals, even in that division.
Yeah.
For a while now. I kind of feel like the Reds have reached a point now where, at least a team or two is now out of that conversation, and the Reds are now a part of it.
Yeah, Nick Lodolo had a no-hitter going last night. He looked good in Colorado. By the way, you throwing no hit stuff in Colorado, brother. You doing something right because
Right.
pitchers go there to die.
Oh, so Rick basically just he okay. So I guess they did get that's where the idea came from.
Listen, well, the Bulls and White Sox are both trash, so trash is trash. Shout out to Jerry Reinsdorf for owning that trash.
This guy.
My last two pretenders are I'm gonna go with the Seattle Mariners because that Logan Gilbert injury feels significant to me. George Kirby's not expected back anytime soon, and I don't know if this offense is gonna be able to keep it up.
Right.
So I'm gonna go with the Mariners being a pretender. And my last pretender.
The one thing I would say, though, regarding the Mariners, because I do agree with you, coming into the season, while we know the potential and how great the starting rotation could do in terms of who they have in the rotation for them, right? I just don't think the lineup, over the course of a full season was going to be able to hang.
That's
what the rotation could
be.
Yeah,
that's exactly.
So I already had them as a pretender, coming into the season.
That's exactly why. And I'm going to surprise some people with this, but, I look at this team and I know on paper they're supposed to be good and they're supposed to have a good team. But I said it last week and I'm going to double down. The Phillies are pretenders to me. I'm not taking nothing the Phillies do seriously.
Right. That's true.
And I know if Philly fans, it might offend you. It might piss you off. It might upset you. But quite frankly, tough shit.
What I've been hearing regarding that, ever since we recorded our thoughts on that topic ourselves, a lot of people have still been thrown around like, oh, well, it's April. I don't think that applies to everything.
It don't apply to everything, especially how lifeless and how hot garbage you looked in the playoffs is to end the season. It's like that's carried over and you still look like hot garbage to begin the season.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So they're on my list. You have two more pretenders. Do you have two more, or are you just gonna roll with the ones we put?
No, we good. We could stick with, yeah.
All right, cool. This is an interesting question. A team that's surprising us or exceeding expectations. I'd go the Giants. I didn't see the Giants being this good. That's one team that I saw surprising. And I'm gonna be honest,
pick two.
I would go the Tigers as the next team because I thought the Tigers, I knew they were gonna be good.
Right.
But I didn't think this lineup was going to be this good because I didn't think Spencer Torkelson was ever going to be this player again.
Mm-hmm.
So, if that's the case, if that's what we're getting with the Tigers, now that Tigers lineup looks a little differently because now we're talking about Riley Green, we're talking about Spencer Torkelson, we're talking about some guys that you know what I mean, Carpenter, you know what I'm saying? Now we got a bit of a lineup to go with that pitching stat. Now the Tigers look a little bit more formidable.
Yo, by the way, speaking of the Tigers, did you read this thing about them wanting to mess around with putting Javi Baez in center field at some point?
Not messing around with that, doing it. He's playing center field for that, and it looked good doing it too.
Right, but I think that's what they want to do moving forward. Like I think that might be his primary.
That might.
Whereas the infield is going to be his secondary.
Because that infield is loaded. You got Colt Keith, you got Torres, they got infielders, bro.
That's crazy, man. How at this point they're just trying to see.
That's because they didn't expect Spencer Torkelson to be as effective as he's been.
Right.
So that's this is
shout out to the Tigers though as well because while Stefan and I did think that they could have done a little more to improve the offense, shout out to them for believing in their guys and for some of them now showing us why they felt like not pulling the trigger. On some of these guys who were available.
Spencer Torkelson is looking like the guy that they drafted a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking unbelievable. Yes, they will replace Muncy at some point. My guess is that they're gonna.
He's an older guy too. Isn't Muncy like in his late 30s?
They're gonna revisit the Nolan Arenado conversation at some point.
35.
I can see them doing that. I can see them doing a few things to fix this. But they're going to do something at third base. Although, he does. He does.
It's crazy you say that, Rick. Not because he's not doing it, like you said, but, you remember some of the plays he used to make when he was an infielder?
Yeah, he was sick.
People used to say he looked like a wizard. He was a magician. He was all these things.
Almago, yeah.
And for him to be able to do that in center field now is crazy.
It's crazy, bro. Yeah, baseball is a weird game, bro. Like
look at Tatis in right field now for the Padres.
I can't see him playing
like one of the greatest right fielders of all time. It's like how
I can't. That's why, and I'm a big Javi guy. So seeing him come back, seeing him excel in a new position, seeing him get the love of the game back, that feels good to me. Yeah, but the Dodgers are gonna have to do something at third. I think ultimately they're gonna be able to do something. What it is, I'm not sure of yet, but they're gonna do something. So, to answer the question of if anybody's surprising us, I would say it's the Giants. That's really been the team that's been surprising me most to start the year, and I would say the Tigers in the American League because I thought there was going to be some type of drop off.
Right.
But this is a good question here. Are you planning to do doing any commentary in any games? Well,
no, just the show.
Nah, just the show. But we plan on doing a watch along here. Probably, I want to say middle of the season. Nothing. Probably middle of the year when the matchups get a little bit, more exciting and juicy. I was really tempted to just jump on the stream the other night watching Paul Skeens and Yoshinobu Yamamoto do their thing. Paul Skeens made that Dodger lineup look silly.
Yeah.
Silly.
I mean, we knew that it was more than possible, right?
Paul
Going into the game.
Is disrespectful, kids. Listen, I kind of want the Pirates to trade him now. Trade him now.
I mean, he's still like, I know last season was his rookie year,
Jesus
but he's
Christ.
still a shiny toy, bro. Like he's still shining. He hasn't been, used that much yet to kind of like just throw him off to the side.
Yeah, I'm not talking about you could get crazy value for him if you traded him early.
True.
Bro, one pitching injury, you know how it goes, man. One arm injury, one shoulder injury, I'm flipping you at your highest value. Even if I don't get the type of recoup that I would have gotten if I waited, if this guy stays healthy, you're looking at $600 million, anywhere between $500 million to $600 million for a pitcher. We do understand that, right? Like, we understand that this guy's going to make that kind of money if he's on the mound and he's healthy. The stuff is ridiculous. He walked in the Dodger Stadium Friday night, Yoshinobu Yamamoto on the other side and said, yo, hold that.
Welcome to the States.
Hold that.
Right.
Mookie Betts, Max Muncy, I don't care. Hold Ohtani. Hold that.
Listen, the Pirates need something, man, and he's definitely that something, I would say, for them.
It breaks my heart watching this guy rot in Pittsburgh. Him and O'Neal Cruz need to get out of there, my guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Please.
All right, so we got I guess a couple more minutes, few minutes, whatever. But one last reminder: make sure you guys go ahead and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at 27ounce3C. By the way, we are still at 98 followers on our Instagram. So we are 2 away from reaching 100. So if you're not following us on Instagram, make sure you follow us there. And we're still at 191, right, on the YouTube.
Yep.
You guys could also see that yourself.
Yep.
But I say that because you guys should definitely subscribe as well.
Yeah, listen, if you know somebody that loves baseball and they're not into the whole show, let them know there's shorts out. There's short clips out. You don't got to sit through a full show if that's not your bag. But if it is your bag, come tap in with your boys, bro. We make it informative, a little entertaining. We laugh. We do some kiki. Know what I mean? Phillies are done. I was there last week, Rays. I'm with you. Phillies are done.
Yeah.
Phillies are done. They made it up. They made it to the Rocky Steps and realized they couldn't go all the way up, so they just sat there like a bunch of losers. I'm done with the Phillies. Anyway, I'm done, man. This show was cool. We did what we had to do. We ain't got to go home, but we got to get the hell up out of here. So, any last thoughts, Ivan, before?
Nah, I'm good, man. I don't think there's a better way to start the week. Today being Monday, we're doing it on a Monday night.
Nah, man.
It's just great. And as you guys know, we'll be back in a few days with a second show at some point. So stick around for that. As you know, off days we spend that doing shorts, as Stefan just mentioned a couple of minutes ago. So if you missed out on this, and you don't want to watch the full thing, go ahead and check out the shorts as well. Until next time, I got nothing else, bro.
Like I said, we ain't got to go home, but we got to get the hell up out of here. So peace.